I prefer, you know, the throw it in a pan and it'll taste good kind of cooking, but this one is worth pulling the patience out for. We are making my family recipe lamb ravioli today. Now this recipe has been in my family for generations. I know since my great-great-grandmother. My grandfather taught it to me and he made me promise that I would teach this recipe to the next generation. So I'm really excited to be making this today in the test kitchen.
Yes, welcome. We're doing Raised on the Ranch city style,
I guess
sure
are.
We're gonna call it. I am so excited. Lamb is my favorite meat. You brought this beautiful rolling pin.
And it's a special ravioli rolling pin that has these little pockets. It's been in the family for generations. And it probably was like a second or a defect because they are definitely not even. So it makes some larger ravioli and some smaller ravioli, and that's kind of why we love it.
It's like big kid, little kid. You know, you get
everybody
like
has a ravioli.
Something for everyone. The first thing we have to do is obviously we have to make the dough. You show me the ways. I'm just here to learn.
So we've got a nice surface here. We're gonna take our flour and make a little mountain of flour here. You don't want to compact your flour too much. Make a pretty big well in the middle of your flour because we have 6 eggs we're gonna crack right in to the middle of this flour mountain.
So what's the reasoning behind you not wanting to compress the flour when you're setting it up, making this well?
Once we start mixing it, it's nice to kind of keep that lightness that the flour already has. And so if we're compacting it, it doesn't mix as well.
Okay. Some people are 0-0 flour purists, some people use AP flour, some people use a mix of bread and pastry. What's your preferred and, you know, why is that?
You know, I just like a good sourced flour.
Okay.
And this recipe is pretty flexible. If you prefer using white, if you like using wheat, kamut flour is very popular now. Just make sure it's good quality. All right, so we've got a full well here. Start mixing the eggs here.
It's giving middle school science experiment.
I know, right? We lost our well. So this can get a little messy, especially when you're using a lot of eggs. So just keep pulling the flour into the egg mixture, and if you're getting some on the sides, a bench scraper works great here.
This is why it's a, you know, an interactive family recipe.
That's right.
Everyone in, you got bench scraping support here. We're doing it all.
This is a great recipe for holidays. Okay. It's a little bit more labor intensive than a lot of recipes because you're making the dough. So this is kind of a recipe that we save for special occasions.
Yeah. Could you make the dough like a couple days ahead and then make the filling the day before and then just kind of bring it all together?
Yep, you can make this dough ahead and have it sit in the fridge. Beautiful. So the dough is starting to come together and it's really just about kneading it, mixing it, and if it's feeling a little bit dry and not mixing together for you, you can sprinkle a little water on it. And it can be a little bit messy, so you just gotta be prepared to get your hands dirty on this one, but it's really satisfying when this dough starts to come together. It'll be a little bit of a shaggy dough. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think this dough is shaping up well. It has that delicious fresh dough smell. We're gonna put saran wrap on that and put it in the fridge to chill. We're gonna start the filling. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay, we've got a pan here. I'm gonna get a little olive oil on that and start dicing up an onion. Okay, got a hot pan. Let's add our onions. You wanna mince a little garlic for us?
Okay.
I like to add a little of our 5 Mary spice rub. This is just some really good quality salts and pepper with a little red pepper, thyme, and rosemary. It's kind of our go-to for everything. Especially when you're getting some onions softened, the spice rub is perfect to put on there.
All right.
Do you want to put that garlic in there and we'll let it get fragrant?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. That spice blend is really just like popping up.
All right, I think this is ready. We can add the spinach and we'll kind of let the spinach wilt in here. I'll put a little more olive oil on it once you get it in there. Spinach doesn't take long. No. Get a good wilt on. This looks nice and wilted. It'll still wilt a little bit more with these yummy hot onions in here. So we're gonna set this aside, let it cool while we prepare the rest of the ingredients to add into the filling. I'll just chop this parsley. We're just gonna do like a rough cut on this.
And then just a little bit of the mint, right?
Yeah, we'll save a lot of the mint for finishing. The lamb we raise is called Navajo Churro, and it's actually the oldest breed of lamb in the US.
Whoa.
It's a really mild and delicious flavor. It's known as the chef's choice for lamb, and only about 3% of the lamb in this country is actually raised in the U.S.
Okay.
So finding a small farm that's raising lamb is a pretty special thing. And when they're raised well, harvested humanely, no stress, it's a really great product because stress can affect the quality of the meat.
I mean, it affects me every day, so.
It does. So we've got the spinach and onions that's cooled. We're gonna add our herbs to this. Okay, we've got our pound of ground lamb here. When I open a package, I usually like to set it on a paper towel. You'll often have some protein juices.
Okay.
Some people think that redness is like blood, but it's actually just protein breakdown. Patting it dry. And I'm gonna add this to the mixture by just breaking it up a little bit before we add the rest.
So this is a good moment for helping hands to come in.
Should we make my sister come learn this recipe with us?
She has to. You said she's never made it before.
I know. And she's in New York with me, so I'm gonna have to see if she'll come in and help out. Come on over. Do you ever remember Grandpa making this?
Yeah, vividly remember this guy, which is so cool.
Yeah. All right, we got this pretty mixed. Do you want to add a little spice rub for me, since my hands are a little dirty?
Spice rub is my favorite. We use this at our house all the time, and I brag about Mary and 5 Marys. This is so good. Actually, just like on veggies, we put them under the broiler, like zucchini chopped.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Okay, so we have this mixed. We'll set this aside. So we're gonna flour our work surface here. It's got a great, nice big area to make our homemade pasta dough. So this has been resting for about half an hour. You can leave it in the fridge if you want to make this the day before. It can be in the fridge for up to 24 hours, but you really just want to let it rest out in room temperature if you're making this all the same day. We're going to divide this in 4.
Great.
So the dough that we're not using yet, you want to keep covered so you don't get any dry edges on it. And our first piece, we're just going to flatten out here. And if you have a regular roller, it's kind of nice to start and just give it a little shape before we put it in the pasta machine. You want to start on the 1, which is going to be the largest setting, the thickest space between the rollers. And then we can go to 2.
So what's the setting you're going up to, or what we're looking for?
We're going to try to go to 6.
All right.
Which is not the thinnest, because you don't want your dough so thin that the filling will kind of pop out of it.
Yeah.
So Ann, do you remember the famous story of what ingredient we traditionally made this with?
I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but yes, the original family recipe had calf brains in it.
Yeah, it's very old school.
Croatian?
Yeah, my grandfather was Croatian, and they liked calf brains in their ravioli. So we've adapted. We do not use calf brains, but it's a great recipe to use with lamb. It gives it a really nice flavor, has some of that old world flavor to it without having to use calf brains.
This is great sister teamwork.
It is, I know. So proud of you, Ann.
I'm doing the clean part and I'm loving it.
Yeah, looking smooth.
We're ready to assemble the ravioli.
I'm gonna give you the filling, let you take the reins,
Okay.
and I'll be back.
We'll have you come taste test. What we do is take some of this filling and then we just spread it along this ravioli. And it needs to be pretty thin. We wanna make sure we put about half of it in here and kind of stick to the middle so that the edges are gonna be able to stick to each other.
So that when you press it down with this guy, it kind of makes little pockets. The pasta sticks together.
Yeah, you have to take notes because your girls are gonna love making this.
I know.
But I get the rolling pin.
Well, we can mail it back and forth.
We lay this right on top of it, and I kind of like to just press the ends once you've got it set and try to line them up as much as you can. Make sure that you flour your surface well before you put this down. You really don't want these fragile ravioli to stick. So you're just gonna roll this out. And
They're so cute.
I know, right? If you can, make sure that the edges are kind of on the edge to take advantage of as many little ravioli as you can.
I love it.
It just makes these cute little pockets. So you can see which ones have filling in them. So you cut the end where they don't, and that's gonna be our end pile.
Tasting scraps.
Yeah, exactly. Right along here, following those edges. And like I said, if you don't have that ravioli pin, you can kind of cheat with like chopsticks or the end of a wooden spoon and make these indents, and then use this handy tool to finish it off.
Just make a little grid.
Yeah, and now we just need to go along this way and give it some firm pressure. That one's a little crooked. Watch your lines.
Sorry. And then floured cookie sheet next?
Yep, flour cookie sheet or put some parchment on. Okay, so now you want to pull them apart, and if any kind of pop open, you can just pinch the ends. And they're going to be very imperfect. You're gonna have big ones, you're gonna have little ones.
And what's the sauce that we put on at the end?
We just do a brown butter sauce. It has so much flavor in this filling that you really don't need much. We'll save some of that mint to sprinkle on. You know, it's got good protein in it and carbs and veggies, so you don't really need too much with it, but a little arugula salad would be yummy.
That's another good story about the arugula salad my mom always made with red wine vinegar, which we made in our garage.
That was another of Grandpa's recipes.
Yeah.
My grandfather had a mother, which is the starter. It's just like, it's more common now because people make like kombucha with a mother. But then my grandfather had a family heirloom red wine vinegar mother in a big old wine barrel in the garage. And it was always somebody's job to go get the red wine vinegar when we were out, and you had to siphon it.
And we'd have friends over and be like, I'm gonna go to the garage and get some siphon some vinegar out of the barrel. And they're like, who are your parents? Like, what is wrong with your household? But it was really good.
It was. We're gonna put them in the pot of hot water, make our butter sauce. We're one step closer to eating.
I can't wait.
It's so worth it. So I like to pop them in the fridge just to kind of chill them down a little bit. But one thing that's really nice about these is you can freeze them and cook them later.
So you can make a big batch, put a few out at a time. That's great.
Have a dinner tonight, maybe dinner in a week. So we're gonna do 2 cubes of butter. When it's white bottomed, you can really see that butter browning.
True.
While you're making that, I'm gonna actually salt this water first, let it get to a rolling boil, and then we're gonna add the ravioli. I am going to scoop these ravioli and try to get as many of them as you can around the same time because they're gonna cook really quickly. So you don't wanna have some undercooked and some overcooked. And then you want to stir these while they're cooking so that they don't stick together, but be really gentle because they are fragile raviolis. And a couple of them will probably lose their filling in the pot, and that's no problem. So once they float to the top, you want about 3 minutes.
Okay.
But if you've got bigger ones, you might need a little bit longer. You can always pull one out and try it.
Okay, do you have a trick for like when the butter's about to get to the perfect brown? Because it's starting to smell like a little bit nutty and it's getting foamy.
It is so observant. So you wanna maybe turn it down when it starts to really start bubbling so that you don't burn it. Because browned butter is a very fine line between burned and brown.
True.
So these are getting close to 3 minutes. And you just want to be ready to pull them out either with a slotted spoon or you can dump the whole thing in a colander.
Looks nice and brown at the bottom.
Perfectly browned. You did a great job. That is like the perfect brown butter. How do they look?
They look good. I mean, perfectly imperfect.
Now Anne's amazing brown butter.
Wow.
Wow is right. Mom would be so proud of us.
She would be so proud.
She doesn't even know we're making this right now. She would have like insisted on coming. Sisters first. Good job.
Cheers.
Brown butter on top and like the lamb and herbs inside. It is so good. If you want to check out some more recipes raised on the ranch, we have lots of other episodes to watch. In one of the episodes, we make pizzas for all the employees at California Peony Company, and it's a lot of fun to make this kind of a meal for a crowd too. But I think we should get some of these Food 52 friends to come try this. There you go.
So gorgeous.
Anna, on a plate.
So pretty.
Thank you.